Hello! Forgive the hoarse voice. A plague is sweeping through the household and I need to record these videos before I get caught too and lose my voice completely. My script right now is just a bunch of bullet points and images because I didn't have time to write the complete script. And yes, I am recording this at the same time as the Silver video, which is why my voice still sounds ill 2 weeks later. A bit of behind the scenes. Okay, onto the video itself. Hello, it's me, Shasskor, the girl who overworks herself to commit to a bit for an audience of very few. And today, I would like to present you something, and if you're a GM who likes puns and would like some magical dresses to put in your campaign, I've got something for you. I mean, this is mostly for me. This is just a treat for me. Evidently I enjoyed working on this project. Anyhow, allow me to tell you how magical dresses became a key plot point in my campaign. This all started 2 years ago in May of 2024. I was browsing Tumblr and I saw that a bunch of artists were like putting various characters they like and stuff in this one dress. It has like, I can put an image on the screen. There are like two variants, like one black, one red. And I was like, oh, that seems fun. I'm gonna draw my D&D character in it, Shasskor. And she's like this halfling, Path of the Beast, got like cat ears. The drawing's on screen, you can see it. But of course, I'm playing her in a campaign, and we have a Discord, and a lot of the players are artists. So, once I shared the image, one of the other players who wasn't an artist was like asking like, hey, wouldn't it be fun if we saw like Madball the Goblin or Grang the Grang in the same dress, and it's like 10 sizes too big. And I just sat there and going like, ooh, well, I didn't say this, I was thinking it. It's not a lot of fun as an artist to just be like told to draw something without getting to like have a think about it or any input on it yourself. So I was like, they're probably not gonna draw anything. That probably discouraged them, if anything. But I was like, I can have fun with this, and I started drawing, and a while later, hey, I'm about to finish a drawing featuring the dress and one of the suggested characters. But lo and behold, while Madball, yes, is in the drawing, the player who suggested the drawing in the first place, character Romeo, is the one wearing the dress. And that was just for fun. And then I was like, and to justify this fact that the dress changed size, magic items change size to suit the wearer. So it's a magic item now. And I like made up some rules on the spot and called it the Dress of Slaying. And we'll come back to the repercussions of writing rules for it later. But for now, that seems to have reinvigorated the server's interest in the dress, and eventually we did get to see Madball in the dress, drawn by Vaporeon X Galaxy on DeviantArt. She's the player of Madball. And then another time, we as the characters tried to like sneak into a city. Another of the characters, Shade, pretended to be a noble and that Tichy was her maid, who managed to get them lost in the tunnels, and like the guards were like, yeah, okay, here's the way out of the tunnels. And convinced them, and I was like, oh, that's fun, I can draw Tichy as a cat girl maid, and I can put Shade in the dress, that's fun. Because I did that. You're gonna see that artwork again later. Oh my goodness, my voice is not well. And that is all. We're well and good, we had our fun. How did this become a plot point in my campaign when thus far only characters in another GM's campaign have been drawn? So I was working on another project, doing some playtesting by having my players, for a one-shot, run through the adventure, The Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh. Well, Ghost of Saltmarsh, the book is called. And it was towards the end of the first part of the adventure, when it was coming down to it, and they were about to fight Sanballat the Wizard, And previously, when I ran this adventure, I've just had him like fight them outright. But this time I was like, wait, no, his whole thing is using illusions. He's trying to use illusions to scare people away from what he pretends is a haunted house, to hide his smuggling operation. He's trying to like do tricks with illusions, basically. So I was like, why wouldn't he do that again now? So what I described, here's the scene. They were in this basement, and then around the one doorway they hadn't explored yet, smog appeared. Fog, clouds, smoke, that's the word, appeared, just filling the area. He had cast fog cloud spell, and I described that they could hear footsteps. And then one of the players was, oh, sorry, for a moment when you said footsteps, I was like, oh, I heard like the sound of high heels. And I was like, you're not sure, this is just a fun little mini-adventure. Sambalat is now wearing the dress of slaying. Because I have the rules for it, so why not? It's just a fun little one-shot. I'm sure this isn't gonna escalate into something else. Foreshadowing is a narrative device to... yeah, you get the gist. But like, sure, put him in the dress, make this more fun, and he like entered the room through the smog, and he started levitating, and lightning bolts started striking down, and people tried to hit him, but they couldn't land a hit. All this, an illusion. He was actually running away the opposite direction, down some tunnels, down to like a rowboat to escape with. And yeah, they eventually saw through the illusion, chased after him, and killed him, but in the process, John Malcolm, this like, somehow a British explorer ended up in this setting. I don't know how. This old like British explorer guy was one of the characters. And so he got cursed by the dress to want to possess it, and thus he killed Sambalat and claimed the dress for himself. Here we have some marvelous artwork by iienex. So yeah, that was a bunch of fun. Marvelous fun. And so we thought, hey, we're having a lot of fun with these characters and this adventure. Why not make it a full campaign? So after deciding that, I was like, okay, well, we should probably do a proper session 0 then, where we discuss like our expectations and things for the rest of the campaign. And I thought something that would be fun for it would be to like invite the players to like maybe come up with like a villainous faction for them to come up against. And they did. It involved a singing parrot, just like a mundane parrot that happens to be very intelligent, with bardic magic. Remember that, it's gonna come up later. We'll come back to it. And I asked like, hey, why would you and this villainous faction be opposed? And somebody just said they want the dress. And now officially, this dress has become a major plot point in that campaign. Because the main villain faction wants it. Of course, that's only one dress. I said dresses plural became a major plot point, and we'll get to that next. But from this point onwards, spoilers for my players in Ties of the Lore Keepers. You're not allowed to watch or listen or do anything more with this video beyond this point. You're not allowed to get the PDF. As we play, you're basically gonna get it for free anyway. So, more dresses. Because, it was around this time that I was like, wait, didn't I like, a while back, like sketch a dress with eyes and teeth? Let's make rules for that. Boom, the bystander dress. This like dress that has like, well, it has eyes and teeth, I already said that. So it helps you with your perception and helps you not being surprised. Also, it's sentient and wants to eat stuff. It's a pretty monstrous dress. And I'm like, cool, now I have rules for 2 dresses. That's fun. 2 is a bit of a weird number. Like, it's not a very auspicious number. Like, when you think of auspicious numbers, you think of like 3 and 7 and 9 and 12. So I was like, okay, let's boost it up to 3. So I had ideas for 3 more dresses. We have the cross dress. The bodice has like one big X on it, and it has a bunch of cross stitching on the seams. It allows you to create like planes that works as bridges, allowing you to cross a distance. Also, you can change your appearance to look like the opposite gender, no matter what that means for your gender. I'll leave that up to the players, allowing them to cross-dress. And also, if they attack someone who considers them their friend, they become vulnerable to the damage because you're double-crossing them. So just like puns stacked upon puns stacked upon puns. The dress of slaying itself already being a pun, with being like, you slay in the dress and then you also slay people while in your dress. It allows you to like exchange charisma skills and weapon attack proficiencies, all that fun stuff. And then I thought of another pun, dress rehearsal. Dress of rehearsal. So it's a dress that lets you rehearse a series of actions, and when you then repeat those actions later, you will get an increasing bonus for each one you successfully do in a sequence. But you always have to do the same. You can't like skip parts of the sequence. You have to like do them in order and do them each round. So that's another fun dress. And then I had like a dream. I dreamed that one of my players had rolled on a quote-unquote wild magic weapon table, and it had come up with a knife of intellect, and I think like in the dream it was like some kind of weapon that gained the properties of another random magic item, and it would be like +1 weapons and vorpal swords and stuff, and it gave a knife of intellect, and I was like, what's a knife of intellect? Where did that come from? And in the dream I was like frantically trying to look it up, and the player was like, I think it's like a homebrew weapon of the author of this homebrew, and I was like, well, why didn't they include it in the document? And then I just had a frantic time in the dream, and then I woke up and I was like, well, obviously there's no such thing as a knife of intellect. What would I make it if I made it? And then I made up a knife of intellect, and then I was like, wouldn't it be funny if I also then made the weapon with the wild magic weapon table? And so I did, but instead of making it a weapon, I made it a one-armed dress with just like one big long sleeve with like claw-like blades at the end of it. And after each attack with it, until you successfully land another hit, it will have like the properties of a random magic weapon. And it's gonna keep changing each time you hit with it. And that seems fun. And then, I think I was talking with my cousin. Like basically, my cousin and her husband were the ones who like gave me the D&D starter set and set up for me to be the nerd I am today. So of course I told her about my magical dress project and told her about all the puns. And like we discussed like having like a skirt of sword blades and things, and then like I was like, well, I don't actually know like what kind of pun I could do with that. And then the idea struck me, nightgown with a silent K at the start. It's a suit of armor with a skirt of sword blades, and it's surprisingly comfortable to sleep with, and if you pirouette, the swords will swing out and slice at everything nearby. Fun. And then 6 dresses. As I said, not a very auspicious number, let's make it 7. So I came up with swimwear, with wear being spelled W-E-R-E, as in werewolf. So I made up a magical dress that allowed you to become sea wolves, which is what led to the Sea Wolves project. It gives you a swim speed and helps lycanthropes resist losing control to their transformation, but also it gives you the curse of lycanthropy. I threw that encounter at my players. That's why there's a bardic parrot in the rules for that. That is like actually like the leader of the faction, who like then gave this captain the swimwear to allow them to become sea wolves, and it's all connected. And it's fun. And also thankfully that meant I already had the artwork for the swimwear, so I didn't have to draw it for the PDF. And then I was like, wouldn't it be fun if we had like a maid dress, like a dress of servitude? So I had an idea for a maid dress, the dress of servitude. Each time you're ordered or asked to do a task, you can give yourself advantage on one roll you do for accomplishing that task. It could be like an attack roll or something else. Also, as an action, you can clear like a 10 feet square of like grease or any other messes covering the ground. But also, the Dress of Servitude has a curse. It is linked to this silver bell that somebody else can ring. It has a set number of charges, and it can cast spells like Suggestions and Command and Control Person. So how I imagine this being used is that like a boss sends like one of their minions wearing this dress after the player characters while staying out of the battle themselves, and like orders the minion to like attack that character, attack this person, do this, do that, and that will like give them advantage and buff them up, and like then the players win and take the dress, and the boss like runs off. And the players are like, sweet, we have a dress that gives us basically free advantage. As long as somebody asks us to do something, we can work with this. And so they put on the dress and go after the boss, and then the boss is just like, and rings the bell to like turn the tables. That might actually be terrible, but I think it's a fun concept. Shoot! This means that we now have 8 dresses. We can't stop at 8. 8 is a terrible number, unless I want to do like a table where you roll at the 8. But I don't want to do that. Oh wait! In another campaign, I came up with like this blue dress with like neuron-like circuitry on the inside of the bodies, and I called it like chameleon circuit or chameleon lace. Yes, it's a Doctor Who reference, because it allows you to cast Alter Self on yourself, changing your appearance, and if not given any specific instructions, it will just turn into whatever was camouflaged with the area you're in, makes you look like you fit in. But each time you do, there's a 1% chance it gets stuck, and you can't get the dress off or change your appearance until you undo the curse. So yes, it's a big Doctor Who reference. So yeah. 9 dresses, let's dot these around the campaign, make it a quest for the players to gather them all, combine them. Combine them? What do you mean combine them? What does combining mean? How do you combine dresses? Allow me to present the Union Attire. It's called Union Attire because you merge the dresses into a single dress, which you can do if you're attuned to 2 or more of them, and it basically looks like a wedding gown. It's a Union Attire, and it's the union of several attires. It's a Union Attire. And like all the dresses will have like different colors and stuff. So the Union Attire will have like a tiara with like several spots for gems, 9 gems, each one a different color, representing each separate dress. The Union Attire basically has all the properties of all the dresses combined to make it, and also you can dance with someone for a minute, giving them a matching Union Attire that you allocate some of those dresses to, and you will like basically then have split up your dresses, and that person will then gain the benefits of those dresses while you keep the remaining ones. And then also you can do like some fun stuff with like magically like swapping which dress each of you have, and swapping place, possibly taking damage in their place. It has some fun stuff like that. And basically the lore is that all the dresses once were one dress until split apart. Hang on, the dresses really should then have like some kind of like final form. If only I had once drawn some kind of cosmic dress used by a goddess to create portals between different points in time and space for a one-shot years ago, where the players were crawling around in the literal fabric of reality. Oh wait! I did that. And it took me a while to realize that I had the perfect artifact to put at the end. And if you want to read more about that artifact, you're gonna have to go and get the PDF. And how do you get the PDF, I hear you ask? Well, it's now on itch.io. Shasskor.itch.io is my page there. There's a link in the description, and you can take these magical dresses, making it a quest for your players, or just use the ones you think are fun. Like the Dress of Union's like little gemstones will give like a hint of how many dresses there are and which ones they need to collect. And right now it's on sale, and it's even cheaper if you buy it in a bundle with the Seawolves and the dresses and the ship maps and the Silva rules that have all been like released recently. Well, except for the Seawolves, that was actually released last year, but I forgot to publish the video. And in case you wonder where, I'm playing one of the Silva, Half Dryas, Half Satyrs, live on Sundays this summer in This for the Mice's Third New Dawn campaign. So feel free to come over there and join us. Oh, and if you've been watching this far, the first one to comment on this video will get a free download link for the entire bundle. Have fun. Thanks for coming by this little corner of the internet. I'm in Shasskor. Bye! Okay, I think that's everything. Oh my goodness. My throat. Ah!